Okay, fellow babies, welcome to Pachter Factor Live on SIFTD.net, and to our Patreon patrons and our YouTube subscribers, a very special welcome. You're getting this content real time. We appreciate your patronage. If you aren't a patron, or you are, please remember also to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. That's free for you. It costs nothing. Amazon pays, not you. You already paid. So deploy the money you already gave to Amazon and get them to give Shane a little bit of it by connecting those two accounts. Okay, today's question from YouTube from Stephen Yuan. What does the future of the console business look like now that free-to-play forever games have ruined the full-price AAA game model? That's a great question. Xbox and now PlayStation have both gone third-party, making exclusives a thing of the past. Can Nintendo be far behind? Okay, wow. These are both good. These are more than one question, but really good. Look, I think that free-to-play forever and full-price AAA are different things. So I'm going to use an analogy, but I think AAA full price is like a movie. You play the game, it's a beginning, middle, end. You play the game and you're done. And now I get ongoing Call of Duty multiplayer, but the game you're buying largely is just play the game, like be done with it. And you pay your 50, 60, 70, or 80 bucks, and that's been the model for 30 years. And you get to play the game. And you finish it, and you're done. It might be replayable. You know, I played Fallout as a bad guy and a good guy and a girl. Fine. But you play the game and you're done. That game model was corrupted when multiplayer was invented. And somebody came up with the bright idea of let people play with each other, against each other. And it started out with expansion packs. And you used to buy your Call of Duty map packs. Remember that? You know, $15 or $10, whatever they were. There'd be 3 or 4 of them. You'd buy like little loot boxes that would have some stuff in it or whatever, and they'd make the maps free, and they'd keep adding maps and new things to do. And it kind of morphed into a free-to-play model. Then they added Call of Duty Warzone, total free-to-play. They added Call of Duty Mobile, total free-to-play. And so we've kind of had this whole range. But the movie model, AAA games, the television show model, forever free-to-play. So think of that. And I know you pay for cable, but if you really thought about it, you can get rabbit ears and antenna and watch television shows. And you have to watch ads, so they're free, sorta, because you have to sit through ads. But you watch 7 seasons of Breaking Bad, and you don't have to pay anybody anything. Or 6 seasons, whatever it was. And it just keeps going, and there's a really long story. That's the AAA versus the free-to-play forever.
This episode of Pachter Factor is brought to you by DeShazer Ryan Realty. It's time to find out why everyone is buying homes in Montana. Right now, Doug DeShazer has a beautiful single-level home with a triple-car garage available in the best neighborhood in Libby, Montana. This custom 3-bed, 2.5-bath home has a 500-square-foot patio for entertaining. It's built to last with solid wood core doors, Anderson windows, an asphalt driveway, central AC and heat, and a private well to run its sprinkler system. The price was recently reduced, and owner financing is available with 20% down. No matter where you're looking to buy in the U.S., Doug DeShazer is licensed to help. Make him your real estate consultant at 406-291-1643. That's Doug DeShazer at 406-291-1643, or go to LibbyMontanaRealEstate.com.
Now, what distinguished these companies, the model for making money in the video game business is either you're a hardware producer and you charge people for the privilege of making their games for your console, so your Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo, and if a third party, if EA Sports Football Club or Madden Football or Call of Duty wants to put their game on PlayStation, you, Sony, charge them 20% of the retail price for a physical copy. So a $50 game was $10 royalty, a $60 game $12, a $70 game $14. If they download the game, the consumer, instead of buying it at retail, 30%. Now 30 is worse than 20, so why would anybody do that? Because the retailer, GameStop, got 20%. So the publishers all said, oh, 30 is better than 40. I don't want to give GameStop 20 and Sony 20. I'd rather give Sony 30. So that's why downloads happened. But the model was, they call it razor blades, sell you that console, and you got to keep buying new software to enjoy the console. Buy a razor, your razor blade gets dull. You can tell I don't shave. You'd have to keep buying razor blades. So they would give razors away. Razors were $2, but razor blades, $1 each. So you'd have to keep buying new razor blades and keep buying them. And you can see this model. It was like film and cameras. It's batteries. It's light bulbs. It's there filters for your water filter. Coffee filters. There's all sorts of pods for your Nespresso. Like everybody's got the razor blade model. So the hardware manufacturers are all into the razor blade model. The software guys are into just making as much money as possible. So the hardware guys had to think, how do I get you to buy an Xbox instead of a PlayStation? Or vice versa. If I'm Sony, how do I get you to buy a PlayStation instead of an Xbox? Answer, exclusives. So if you want to play Last of Us, you aren't doing it on an Xbox. Back in the day. If you want to play Halo, you're not doing it on a PlayStation. So they had their exclusives. And it gave people a reason to pick one versus the other, because I really want to play that game. That's what my friends are playing. The mass market games, EA Sports Football Club, Madden, Call of Duty, were on both consoles, so it didn't matter. But the exclusives, first party, were on only the console that owned them. And what happened was Microsoft kind of deviated from the model and said, we don't care about hardware anymore. We care about Game Pass. But now we have this huge investment in making first-party games like Halo, and it doesn't benefit us because we're not selling any consoles, so they put them on PlayStation. And I think the Microsoft thinking is, if you spend $70 for Forza or Halo or Gears of War on a PlayStation, you're more likely to join Game Pass because you realize you really like that game. Now you can go back and play all the Gears of War games, all the Halo games, all the Forza games, just by signing up for Game Pass. So they look at it as marketing. So Sony's just following the pattern because they might as well make more money while they can. I don't know whether either company is particularly enlightened yet. I can tell you Microsoft's closer to enlightenment than Sony, but I think they both kind of in the back of their minds know that consoles are going away. I've talked about this on a prior episode. Connected TV is the way to go. And Microsoft's far closer to realizing that than Sony is. But while they are still relevant, I think they want to exploit their software. There is a business to be had by just being a publisher. Take-Two makes money doing that. Activision did. EA does. Ultimately, Sony can be a very powerful and profitable publisher. They're not going to give up on consoles until nobody buys them. So PS6, PS7, PS8 are going to happen. It's just the way Sony's going, 700, then 800, then 900. They're going to sell fewer and fewer and fewer. They'll be benefited when Microsoft stops making consoles altogether. And there will be a next Xbox. I'm not 100% certain there'll be one after that. They might not need one. So the next Xbox in 2027, we have until 2034 to figure out if they decide to do something different. Fortunately, I know how old Phil Spencer is. He won't be there by then, so let's figure out who's succeeding him, Sarah Bond, whatever. I don't know if they're going to feel the same way. They might be crushing it in the Game Pass business. I think Microsoft, at the end of the day, is all about making money and not exploiting the consumer overly. It is better for all consumers if you don't have a console purchase as a barrier to entry to play games. You're better off. If you have that $700 in your pocket, that's 10 more games you can buy. So you are benefited if you don't have to shell out that money. And this is why television works, as a medium, because we all have a TV. So watching television is essentially free. But playing a console game, go to a movie, you got to pay. That's why I use that as my AAA versus ongoing forever free-to-play titles. Console games cost money, and they cost a lot if you have to buy a console. Think about a console purchase at $700. How many games are you going to play over your life? Like 20? Okay, then $35 extra per game for the privilege of playing it because you had to buy a console first. That's crazy. So, and if you only play 10 or 1, you'll never buy a console. It's way too expensive. Consoles are getting priced to where they don't make any sense at all anymore. Can Nintendo be far behind? Yeah, they can be. Nintendo is a different animal. Nintendo has always believed that they were a hardware company who make software to support their hardware. The other guys may have started out that way, but they've become more cognizant of software as a business. Microsoft in particular with Game Pass, Sony not so much yet, but Nintendo always thinks hardware first. They always have. Nintendo is adamant that its software doesn't appear anywhere, hence you really don't have Nintendo mobile games. I mean, you have like 3. So Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing are like there too. It's like they just aren't into it. They don't want to put their content on anything except Nintendo platforms. I think if they decide to go off Nintendo platforms, they go connected TV or phone, not Sony or Microsoft. I don't see it. But you never know. If Microsoft and Sony say we'll support the Switch, in exchange you support the Xbox and PlayStation, maybe. Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor. We really appreciate anybody who is a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber. All the rest of you, plus those guys, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. It is free for you to do so. Take advantage. You've already paid Amazon. They're sitting on your money. They're earning an ungodly amount of return on your money. Have them give a little bit of that to Shane. Check out the instructions on how to do that in the show description below. Stick it to Amazon. If you haven't done it in a month, you got to do it again. So please do it right now. No excuse unless you have to go to the bathroom. Any other excuse, link those accounts now. My fellow babies, thank you for joining me on Pachter Factor. I'll see you next week.